My family gave my 5-year-old daughter a limited US name tag at a family party. 30 minutes later they wished they'd never said a word. So look, I need to tell you guys this story because I'm still processing what happened, and honestly I think I'm finally losing my mind or finally finding it, not sure which. My mom called 2 weeks ago and said, "Come early, we'll celebrate." When we showed up, my daughter got handed a name tag that literally said, "Limited guest" on it. My brother leaned over and whispered, "That means no food." And his kids laughed out loud like it was funniest thing they'd ever heard. I didn't argue right then. I just pulled out my phone and started typing. Cancelled everything immediately. 30 minutes later they were wishing the words they said were never spoken. "I'm Mark, I'm 33, I'm the oldest son, the quiet one, the fixer. The person my family calls when a bill is due or a tire blows out on the highway at 2 a.m. I grew up 10 minutes from where my parents still live in this small brick house where my brother Joni was T's son and the rest of us just kind of orbited around him without complaint. I work in IT. Nothing glamorous, I just fix things that other people break. That pattern never really stayed at work though, you know. I met my wife Amanda when I was 25. We got married at 27. Our daughter Mia just turned 5 and she's obsessed with stickers and pockets. Like, she stuffs every single pocket she had the stickers, ticket stubs, these tiny folded notes that say, "For Daddy," in shaky letters. I keep every single one in a shoebox. If you asked anyone from the outside, we look like a normal family. Holidays pictures, the occasional fight about nothing. But my family has this way of measuring love in receipts. Who paid, who showed up, who owes what. For years it's been me owing. Joni's the golden child. He's got that easy smile, the perfect story for every room. The kind of charm that makes waiters bring extra fries. Or in the house. In school he didn't study much but he knew every teacher's favorite joke. Mom calls him my miracle. Dad calls him a born closer. He started 3 businesses and closed 2. The third one is about to pop off, which is how it's been, for like 3 years now. Me. I keep my head down. I pay my own way, and when they ask me to help, just this once, I do the math and say 'cause saying yes feels cheaper than the fight that follows saying no. 2 weeks before saying no, Mom called. "Come early," she said, voice all sweet. "We'll celebrate." "Celebrate what?" I asked, she said. "And Joni's big pitch next month. You know he's almost there." I just hummed noncommittally. Said we'd come. Amanda looked at me over the sink. "You sure? It's just dinner," I said. "We'll leave early if it turns weird." She nodded in that way wives nod when they've already packed plan B their heads. Saturday came gray and sticky. Mia wore this yellow dress with a little bow and asked if there would be cake. I told her yes because at my parents' house there's always cake for Joni and crumbs for the rest of us. We brought salad and a box of pastries from the nice bakery because Mom says our grocery store stuff tastes like cardboard. I parked on the street because Dad says the driveway is for family cars. Which somehow never means mine. Inside there were balloons, a banner that said "Biji mo sayid." Joni's kids were running around with paper airplanes. My mother swept in with a hug that never quite makes it all the way to actually touching you with her hands. "You made it," she said to me. Then to Maya, "Oh look at you, sunshine." Amanda handed over the pastries we brought. Mom waved them away. "We'll see if there's room." At the table by the entry were name tags. I saw Mom, Dad, Joni, Jessa, his wife, Uncle Ray, even Coach Tim was there because somehow he was invited too. Then the one that stopped me cold. Limit Geist, I blinked. "What is this?" Mom didn't even look at me. "Oh, just a system. We had overthink it." Amanda's jaw went tight. "Limited how?" Mom finally smiled like we were being silly. "Kids make a mess. They nibble. We did half portions for under 6, it's not personal." Joni walked past, read the tag, leaned into me and whispered, "That means no food," the kind of joke he thinks makes him lovable. His boys heard him and laughed loud, like a signal. Mia looked up at me, then at her tag, then back at me like she was trying to figure out what she'd done wrong. I felt my ears go hot. Not loud anger, not the kind that makes a scene. Something smaller and colder, the part of me that usually says, "'S fine," just went quiet like it finally ran out of batteries. Dad clapped me on the shoulder. "Don't sulk," he said. "Plenty to go around if you behave," Amanda whispered. "Mark, I know," I said. We walked deeper into the house. Louder from the kitchen, a whiteboard in the dining room with numbers and arrows. Investment. Maya's tag stuck to her dress at a crooked angle. She touched it confused. I took her hand and squeezed twice. "It's our code for, you're safe." Then someone behind me said, "Make sure the limited guests don't the shrimp," and everybody laughed like it wasn't about a 5-year-old with stickers in her pockets. I didn't argue. Not then. I just swallowed the taste of metal and told myself we'd eat after. I told myself I could take one more small thing and walk it to the trash without making a sound. That was the last lie I told myself that day. It didn't start with a name tag. It never does. It starts with small math. I co-signed Joni's first car because his credit was still young. He promised to refinance in 6 months. He did in 12 months and he missed 2 payments. I covered them because Mom said, "The bank doesn't care about excuses." When I asked Joni for the money back he said, "Bro, relax, it's all circulating. Like money is water and not work." At 24, I moved out. My parents didn't come see the apartment. We've seen plenty of small places, Dad said. You'll upgrade when you grow up. That same month, Mom sent me a photo of Joni's new condo view. He's thriving, she wrote. I paid a show a late fee 3 weeks later to avoid strike against the family's reputation. At 26, Amanda and I got married at City Hall. We invited everyone. Mom texted the morning of rain. They didn't come. That night I got 2 messages. From Dad, you should have chosen a Saturday. From Mom, we'll do a bigger celebration when Joni is back from his retreat. Joni posted an Instagram story of him on a boat that same day. I Venmo'd him $200 the next day because he said, we're in a bind, they held the deposit, and I told myself, being a good brother looks like patience. When Mia was born, Mom put her hand on my shoulder in the hospital and said, no, you'll finally understand what it means to sacrifice. Then she looked past me at Joni. You'll be a great uncle, she said to him. He winked. I always am. The asks kept coming in different costumes. Can you float me for $100 just an any 7 short on rent? The coach Tim says if we can raise 5,000 the gym will put Joni on the flyer exposure. I need a new laptop. Business expense, can you put it on your card and I'll pay you back? I kept a spreadsheet. It wasn't even about the money at first, it was about not feeling crazy. Dates. Amounts, reasons, promised return dates that slid around like jelly. The total crossed 9,000, then 12,000, then 17 Sid 40. Every time I tried to talk about it, Mom said, don't nickel and dime your brother, we're family. Dad said, real men don't keep score. Joni said, it's all going to make sense when the product hits. The product changed names 3 times. First it was a fitness app, then a meal prep service, then a hybrid community experience, which I think just meant a gym with smoothies. He'd make these decks and pastel slides and buzzwords. He'd send me edits at midnight. Can you clean this up? I'd fix the grammar, the numbers, the parts where he promised things that didn't exist. He'd present it, get a few claps, so let's revisit this, then call me all excited like, bro, we're so close. Meanwhile our life was small and steady. I fixed laptops. Amanda taught art at the community center. We budgeted on Sundays with coffee and a pencil. We made grocery lists that worked like Tetris. We said no to vacations because daycare costs as much as rent. We were okay. Not flashy, just okay. The guilt cane wrapped as concern. Amanda deserves better, Mom would say to me on the phone. Do you ever think about that? A woman wants security. Joni knows how to provide. I almost laughed. She huffed. He will, if people stop dragging him down. There were little humiliations you can't take a picture of. At Thanksgiving, Mom placed the larger turkey leg on Joni's plate and pushed the smaller one toward mine. You don't need more. She said. At Christmas, Joni's kids opened drones and bikes. Mia got a coloring book for ages 3+ and she was 4. When I got a small promotion, title change, same pay. Dad said titles don't feed a family. When Joni posted a photo of a borrowed watch, Dad reposted it with proud of my boy. Amanda tried to keep the peace. She wore the smile you wear when you know the camera's on. In the car she'd let out this breath like she'd been tired of holding in her lungs. Moo can skip the next one, she'd say. Woo can, I'd say. And then when Mom called saying, would mean a lot if you were here, I'd say, we'll be there. The money ask started to bloom into plans I was supposed to fund. Picture this, Joni said one night at my parents' table, chopping the air with his hand like a CEO. Family equity, we all put in, we all own it. Mark can handle the finances, Dad's name helps with lending. Mom runs front of house, just does social. We're unstoppable. Amanda said, what are the terms? We're talking equity. He leaned back. Whoa, she's intense. Mom said, trust I's the term. I said, what's the number? Joni smiled. Seed is 50. We can do 30 now, 20 later. Friendly paper. 50,000. Amanda said. Mom said, it's not all from you. You're not the only one. Don't be selfish. But when the group chat went up, Faye and Rail. The only requests with actual dollar signs had my name under them. Aunt praying. Uncle Ray was networking. Coach Tim sent a flexed arm emoji. Somewhere in there I sent 7 and 50 just to show good faith. Then once 250 as a bridge, then 2,000 were closing this week for, the week never closed. I started waking up at 2:11 like my body had an alarm set for dread. I'd stare at the ceiling and list numbers in my head, rent, daycare, groceries, gas. Mom's small ask for Joni's kids' camp fees, because summer brain is real. The spreadsheet total hit 23,980. 2 months before the party, Mia had a fever. We were at urgent care at WUM. Amanda sleeping upright in a chair, Mia curled like a bean on my chest. My phone buzzed. Joni, yo, can you do me a quick $100? Literally stuck at pump. I put my phone face down. The next morning Mom texted, when you're a parent you'll understand, it's emergencies all day. I typed and deleted 3 different replies. I sent nothing. That night Dad called. What happened to you? You used to be generous. He sighed into the speaker like he wanted me to hear how disappointed he was. I didn't say, I am changing on purpose. I didn't say, this isn't generosity, it's extraction. I said, we'll be at the party. And then came the tag. Limited guest. The whiteboard, the whisper, the laugh, the way the room stretched around Joni's needs and shrank around my child. If you've never stood in the family you were born into and watched them label your kid as less, I hope you never do. I felt something shift. Not anger, but alignment. Like a bone finally clicking back where it's supposed to be. Mark. Amanda said, eyes on mine. I'm here, said, and for the first time in a long time I believed me. At BTH Pairwhy the party moved like parties do. Too bright in the kitchen, too loud in the living room, too many hands reaching for the same plate. Jess handed out glasses. Dad told the story about how Joni sold a snow cone to a snowman at 6 years old. Everyone laughed again. I watched Mia sit at the kids' table with an empty plate and her little hands folded because she's polite even in rooms that don't earn it. When the food line finally opened, Mom stood guard like a bouncer. There were actual labels: PSM, Stedard, Lemnukes next to limited, was a small stack of napkins and 2 apple slices. Like a joke. Amanda stepped forward. She's 5, she said. She eats dinner. Mom smiled without teeth. Then she can have dinner at home. She asks at home, Amanda said, voice steady like a ruler. This is her family's house. Dad's voice came from behind us. Don't make a scene. Joni clinked a spoon to a glass. Before we grub, he said, I want to say something. He stepped to the whiteboard. We're at the cusp. We've got a verbal from a real angel. We just need to close the family round to show momentum. It's not even about the cash, it's the signal. We do this together, and when I ring that bell, we all eat. He tapped the marker where he'd written Femel Farce T 3 times. So we've got asks but also gifts. This is community. Mom nodded like a parishioner in church. Dad crossed his arms. Jess filmed on her phone. Joni looked at me. Mark, you're the cornerstone. We talked about it. 30-day lock's a better match. We'll paper it. Friendly terms. It's not a loan, it's love. I stared at him. 30 what? He laughed. 1,000 obviously. We can split it over the next 6 weeks. 10 today shows faith. Amenda's eyebrows went up. You said small seed. Mom put a hand on Amenda's elbow. Men are talking. Something went very quiet in my head. Like a winter morning where the air snaps. I looked at me, her tag. At the apple slices. At the whiteboard with arrows pointing to my name like a drain. I thought about Tutin Levin. About pediatric fevers. About the word limited. Sitting on my daughter's chest because someone decided she was allowed to be hungry in their house. I said, no. The room did that small wobble rooms do before a drop. Mom blinked. No what? No to the round of the corner stunning. No to the friendly paper. No to all of this. Dad snorted. Grow up. Joni smiled like we were playing. You're kidding. I'm not, I said. Jess lowered her phone. Wah, Mom's voice went cold. We have company. So do I said, nodding toward Amanda and Mia. And stepped to the table. I took a plate. I filled it. Chicken, rice, salad, a roll, 2 strawberries from the Purami ball because I was done pretending berries obeyed a seating chart. I carried it to Mia, her eyes widened. For you. I said. All of it. A mom hissed, those portions are planned. I looked at her. Then your plan failed. Dad's face flushed. You don't come into my house. I said. This is about my kid. What's your tone? He said. I have been. I said. For 33 years. Joni chuckled, leaning back. Emotions aren't assets. We're building legacy. Don't embarrass yourself over a plate. Amanda took Mia's tag off and set it face down on the table. Your legacy, she said, is written in how you treat people who can't push back yet. Silence. The kind that hurts your ears. Mom broke it. If you can't support your brother, then maybe this isn't the place for you. I nodded. I agree. Dad laughed once hard. You think you can shame us? You need us more than you admit. I shook my head. Needed you to be kind. You chose clever. Joni leaned forward, elbows on knees. Here's what's going to happen. You'll cool down. You'll apologize for making a scene. You'll wire 10 by Monday so we can make Tuesday's meeting hit. We'll put you on the cap table. You get to brag later. Everybody wins. Or you keep acting like a martyr and you're out. He spread his hands. Your call. I looked at him, at my parents. At the whiteboard. At my little girl happily chewing chicken, oblivious to the tug of war happening over her head. And I felt it settle in me like a key turning. Not dramatic, just final. This isn't about revenge. I said, my voice steady in a way I almost didn't recognize. This is about closure. Mom scoffed. Closure? Don't be theatrical. It means I'm done playing role you wrote for me, I said. I stood. I took Amanda's hand. I picked up Maya's little backpack with the unicorn zipper. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't slam a door. I walked to the entry table. I took a pen. On the back of Maya's tag I wrote one word. N-O. Joni's boys watched us like we were a show. One of them whispered, he's mad, in that delighted tone kids use. Dad took a step like he might block the door. I waited. He didn't. We reached the porch. The sun had slipped behind the neighbor's roof. The yard smelled like charcoal and something overcooked. I could hear laughter starting again inside. Forced and loud. Amanda squeezed my hand. What now? I unlocked the car. Now we eat, I said. And then we draw lines. Fenthe after we drew I didn't look back. We stopped at a diner with cracked leather booths and a waitress who called everyone on. Mia ate waffle the strawberries that belonged to no tier. Amanda slid a plate toward me. Yuo nodded. Then shook my head. I am and I'm not. She put her palm over my knuckles. Both can be true. My phone buzzed on a table face down. It buzzed again, and again. 12 times in a minute. Then more. I turn it over. 14 missed calls. The group chat. Familo Fendriel, lighting up like a slot machine. Mom, you embarrassed us, Adid. You made your mother cry. Jess, you ruined the vibe. Followed by or you out of your mind. This is bigger than your feelings. Aunt Cheryl praying. Coach Tim flexed arm emoji theme. We good. Uncle Raid. Don't burn bridges. You never know. Amanda took a picture of Maya's syrup grin. You don't need to answer, she said. I know, I said. My thumb hovered like muscle memory wanted to explain itself. A new message, Joni again. Deadline is Tuesday by noon or I erase you from the cap table and from my life. I read it twice. I laughed without humor. Race me, I said softly, mostly to myself. Haven't you been trying? We went home, we did Mia's bath, we read the bedtime book. She asked why did grandma call me limited? I swallowed. Because grown-ups forget their words are sharp. I said, you are not limited. You are my favorite everything. She nodded like a scientist recording data. Okay, she said, and slid a sticker into my pocket. When she slept, I took the shoe box down from the closet, added the sticker and opened my laptop. I pulled up the spreadsheet. I looked at every line, every limo, just till Friday. I remembered the times I transferred money from our grocery budget and pretended I hadn't. The nights Amanda squeezed my hand in the dark and said, we'll be okay, even when okay was a cliff edge. Anta leaned in the doorframe. What are you doing? Cleaning, I said. Digitally. Everywhere. I opened my banking app. I created new sub-accounts. House. Emergency. Mia changed 2 passwords. I turned on alerts. I scrolled to recurring transfers with names that weren't ours and canceled them. One by one. My hand shook, not with fear, with release. Dad called. I let it ring out. He called again. And again. 9 calls in 10 minutes. Then a voicemail. Then another. I didn't know their script. I'd been acting it out for a decade. At 9:32 p.m. Mom texted. Come early tomorrow. We'll talk it out. We're family. Don't be dramatic. At 9:41 a photo of Joni's whiteboard with Famela Fastis circled in a caption. This is for you too, if you stop being selfish. It's almost funny how people will weaponize the word family, until it just means. What at 10:05 Johnny. Okay, real talk, Jess is freaking out. I told her you'll fix it. You always fix it. Send 5K tonight to show movement. I'll tell them you're good for the rest. Thane, don't make me look stupid. Thane, answer. Thane, coward. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. The silence felt like new snow. Sunday morning, 7:12. Dad again. We were making pancakes. Mia was stirring, tongue out in concentration. The phone buzzed across the counter with, Daddy, flashing like an alarm I'd set in childhood. I pressed decline. Mia asked. A spam call. I said. It wasn't a lie. Sometimes the truth is about function, not label. By noon the text changed flavor. Threats dressed like logic. Dad. If you don't can expect help when you need it. Mom. You'll regret pushing your family away. I'll make sure everyone knows who killed this. Jesse. People don't forget. By evening they tried a new angle. Mia will miss out. Think about the children. I stared at that one until the screen dimmed. Monday, 431 texts. 2 emails with subject lines like, Fanel Kchansi and, Famimo request from Joni for 10,000 with a fire emoji. I clicked decline. He clicked decline. Tooth Fidred, 1,000, decline. He messaged petty. I thought of Dad's line, real men don't keep score. The ledger in my head went quiet. At lunch Amanda sat across from me and slid a notebook into the middle of the table. A clean page, a pen. Okay, she said. What do we want our life to look like if we stop trying to pass their tests? She wrote, no 2am dread. I wrote, savings with our name on it. She wrote holidays that don't end with a fight. We wrote for an hour. It looked small and plain and holy. Tuesday came. Noon passed. I did not. Wire at 12:07 p.m. Joni N at 12:08 I'm done with you. At 12:09 a screenshot of the group chat where he wrote, Mark bailed. We proceed without dead weight. There were thumbs up reactions from people who don't know our budget. Mom Ron, he's going through something. He'll come around, Dade. Not under my roof. Aunt Cheryl, praying. Coach Tim flexed arm emoji. I turned my phone off. I took a walk. The air smelled like fresh cut grass and hot asphalt. My body felt heavier and lighter at once, like I'd set down a bag I forgot I was carrying and now my shoulders didn't know what to do. Wednesday morning. Mom showed up at our apartment unannounced. I met her at the door before she could step in. You changed the locks, she said without hello. I grew, I said. You've let your wife poison against your own blood. Amanda from the kitchen. Good morning to you too. Mom lowered her voice. Be reasonable. Your brother needs you. My daughter needed dinner, I said. She got a name tag instead. Mom flinched. That was logistics. No. I said. That was a message. She looked me up and down like I'd shrunk. We made you who you are. I shook my Mia Stark. I made me. She pressed her lips together. Your father says if you won't apologize, don't bother coming on Sunday. I won't, I said, to both. She stared past me into our tiny living room. The toys, the plants that keep trying. The visible life of a family that budgets. You'll come around, she said finally, as if saying it out loud could bend the future. Maybe, I said, and not back. She left. The door clicked. I leaned my forehead against it for a long time and felt the cool paint. Amanda touched my back. Did what? Chose us. The calls slowed. The texts got colder, shorter, rarer. Then came silence. That dangerous period where people are either healing or plotting. 2 weeks later I got a letter. Not from a lawyer, thank God. But from a bank. A late notice on an account with my name as co-signer that I'd forgotten about. The car. 90 days delinquent. Immediate action required. My chest tightened. I called Joni. He didn't answer. I called again. Nothing. I drove to my parents' house. I left Mia with Amanda. I told myself I wasn't going to argue. I was 22. I tied when I was 22. Dad opened the door, eyebrows already raised in judgment. I need the car paperwork, I said. He moved to close the door. We're eating. I held it with my palm. I need it today. Inside, Joni sat on the couch, eyes on his phone. He didn't look up. I said. He kept scrolling. You're dead to me, remember? Then release my name, I said. He laughed. He your worst, I said. I called the bank from their driveway. I explained. I asked for steps. The woman on the phone was kind. She told me the options. None of them were free. I chose the one that hurt least long-term and most today. I paid the back amount. I removed myself. It was money didn't want to spend, but more than that, it was a lock clicking. An ancient one. I texted Joni the confirmation. You're welcome, I wrote. He replied with a middle finger emoji. I stared at it and felt nothing. Not even anger. Just information. That night we ate pasta with jarred sauce and garlic bread. It tasted like a feast. We watched a cartoon. Mia fell asleep on my chest. My phone sat face down and quiet. For the first time in years I didn't dread the sound it might make. The house creaked. The future didn't feel like a trap. It felt like a hallway with doors we could choose.